Well, let's welcome now Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI agent. Tracy, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kelly.
It's great to have you, as always. So, since the release of that probable cause affidavit, a lot more details have emerged. Robert outlined some of them. So many of us are still wondering, though, what was the motivation behind these murders? Do you see a possible narrative emerging from some of these newly released details?
I think that's the part that really scares everyone is the motive, right? And I think really to the point of Kaylee's father, when he spoke out talking about how he expected him to look different, right? It's this whole idea of the devil you know, right, versus the devil you don't know. And he doesn't look like someone who would do this, but what are you supposed to look like? And I think that's what's scary about the motive is why these students, why did he do this to them? And my guess, the narrative that I'm just pulling together based on my own hypotheses is that I do think he came into sort of random contact with one of them. I'm still not certain who. I believe it's Maddie or Kaylee. But I think that contact, he perhaps made more out of that contact than they did, because we have that Uber driver talking about how Kaylee and Maddie really didn't seem like they had a care in the world that evening. And I fully believe that. And so I think this would have been a situation where he would have come into very casual contact, either at a restaurant, at a bar, library, store, wherever. And he made more out of that contact. And then he began to basically stalk them.
Wow, fascinating. So the suspect, Bryan Kohberger, has not yet entered a plea. The defense received the judge's approval to preserve the crime scene for several more weeks. What is the defense doing now to help build their case?
So I believe that the defense is probably recreating the crime scene. They are examining now this themselves because law enforcement has really had it right for these 2 months, and they've been able to comb through it. And so basically what law enforcement is trying to do is, based on the information that was in that probable cause affidavit, they are now recreating those events and trying to figure out the holes that they can poke into their theories and whether or not Kohberger was actually capable of doing something like this, and whether or not the witness testimony that they have is actually reliable.
That makes sense. So one of the two surviving roommates, saw the alleged killer walking out of the house that night. How important do you think she'll be to this case going forward?
So that's actually an excellent question. And I don't know is the answer to that, because my gut says that she saw him. I don't believe that he saw her. And I do believe, look, I was a college student. I was 20 years old once. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, when you came in at 2 o'clock in the morning, she may have been under the influence. She may have been sort of in a dreamlike state. So I don't know how reliable her testimony is actually going to be for either side. So that's actually the kind of wild card right now, because really all she saw was someone that resembled him with the bushy eyebrows, and the defense can go ahead and say, okay, well, you just saw someone who resembled him, not him. But the prosecution could say, well, this person looked very much like Bryan Kohberger, and then they've matched the shoes to him. If they found his mask, if they found his murder suit, then that would corroborate that testimony.
All right, Tracy Walder, always fascinating. Thank you so much for your insight tonight.
Thank you, Kelly.
And tonight, NewsNation is unraveling the mystery behind the grisly Idaho murders. A combination of chilling evidence, including DNA and cell phone records, led investigators to accused killer Bryan Kohberger. Now, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, investigators hope his arrest will bring justice to the victims and their families.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.